Have you noticed how everything in life now demands speed, faster results, faster healing, faster success? We scroll, we rush, we chase, yet deep down, something inside us is breaking. You check your phone 100 times a day, but when was the last time you checked in with your heart? You respond to everyone else's messages, but when was the last time you responded to your own silence? This is the modern disease, not anxiety, not burnout, but hurry. The invisible fever that convinces us that if we just move faster, we'll finally feel enough. But we never do we? Because every time you reach the next goal, your mind is already sprinting toward another. You're not tired from doing too much. You're tired from never allowing yourself to wait. Your soul wasn't built for speed. It was built for rhythm. The quiet rhythm of breath, the gentle rhythm of trust, the sacred rhythm of life unfolding in its own time. But we've forgotten that rhythm. We've traded peace for productivity, silence for stimulation, and presence for performance. And now, even when we rest, we don't really rest. We just pause between sprints. Maybe that's why you feel like your mind never stops spinning, because it's not time that's running out. It's your connection to the moment that's slipping away. So the question is, how do we stop living in fast forward and return to the calm rhythm of the present? That's where our journey begins, by understanding what impatience truly is and why it's quietly shaping the way you think, feel, and heal. 1. The root of impatience, the mind that can't sit still. Have you ever noticed how uncomfortable silence has become? The moment there's a pause, you reach for your phone. The instant there's stillness, you fill it with noise. And yet that tiny restless moment between breaths is where peace actually lives. We've mistaken motion for meaning. We've confused activity with aliveness. And because of that, our minds have forgotten how to be. They only know how to go. Impatience isn't about time. It's about discomfort with stillness. The inability to sit inside a moment without needing to fix it, rush it, or escape it. Most people think impatience is a personality trait. I just like things fast. But in truth, impatience is emotional resistance. It's the body saying, I don't feel safe here. And the mind replies, then let's move. You're not waiting for life. Life is waiting for you. Every time you rush, you tell the universe you don't trust its timing. You declare, my pace is wiser than yours. But the universe doesn't run on your clock. It moves on alignment. And alignment can't be rushed. Here's the hidden cost of living impatiently. Your nervous system never stops firing. Science shows that impatience triggers the same stress hormones as fear: cortisol, adrenaline, and inflammation. It's not just emotional, it's chemical. Your body interprets every rush, every I need it now, as danger. And so it lives in fight or flight, even when you're sitting still. That's why your shoulders ache. That's why your breath feels shallow. That's why you can't sleep even when you're exhausted. Because your body has forgotten what safe feels like. It's been trained to chase every next thing until it collapses. Spiritually, impatience blocks awareness. When you're constantly in the next moment, you miss the one that's here, the only one that's real. The sunset outside your window, the way your chest rises and falls, the soft hum of being alive. You can't hear the wisdom of the present if you're always running ahead of it. And maybe that's why healing feels so slow, because you're trying to heal on the surface, while the root of your pain, the inability to be still, keeps pulling you out of balance. You want calm, but you rush to get it. You crave peace, but you chase it like a prize. You long for presence, but you resist the only place it can exist, now. The truth is, patience isn't about waiting longer. It's about waiting wiser. It's the art of staying open when everything in you wants to close. It's saying, I trust that this moment, no matter how incomplete, is still sacred. Because when the mind stops running, the heart starts speaking. And that's when life begins to feel alive again. Not because you've arrived, but because you finally stopped leaving. So what's the cure for this constant restlessness? If impatience is the symptom, what brings the body and mind back into harmony? It begins with the simplest act of all, the one we've forgotten in our hurry to fix everything. Breathing. Not shallow, distracted breathing, but conscious, rhythmic, healing breath. The kind that reminds your body, it's okay to slow down now. That's where we go next. Because before you can learn patience with the world, you must relearn patience with your own breath. Let's keep going. 2. The medicine of stillness, breathing through the wait. When was the last time you truly breathed? Not the shallow, automatic kind of breathing that just keeps you alive, but the deep, conscious kind that makes you feel alive. We live in a world that rewards speed but forgets to honor stillness. We think patience means waiting around, doing nothing. But in Zen, patience isn't passive. It's the most active form of awareness there is. Stillness isn't doing nothing. It's doing everything with presence. Every slow breath you take is a rebellion against the chaos of the world. Every pause between inhale and exhale is an act of courage. A whisper to your nervous system that says, you're safe now. You don't have to fight time anymore. Because when you breathe consciously, you teach your body that the present moment isn't dangerous. You teach your heart that it's okay to rest inside the now. And little by little, every breath that slows down becomes a small victory over chaos. You see, impatience is like holding your breath for a future that hasn't arrived yet. It's a suffocating belief that peace will come after something happens, after the job, after the relationship, after the pain ends. But the truth is, your breath doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It's already happening now. Quietly, faithfully, offering you peace with every inhale. What if patience wasn't something you needed to build, but something you could breathe into existence? Try this. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose. Feel it fill your chest like light. Hold it gently, not with tension, but with awareness. Then release it slowly through your mouth, like you're letting go of something heavy. Do it again, but this time imagine you're exhaling a lifetime of rushing, pushing, striving. Can you feel that subtle shift, that tiny silence between the breaths? That's not emptiness. That's your healing. Because the body doesn't respond to words, it responds to rhythm. And when you breathe with intention, your body starts to believe in safety again. Your shoulders drop, your heart slows, your mind softens. That's not a coincidence. That's biology aligning with peace. The breath is the bridge between your anxiety and your peace, between the chaos in your thoughts and the calm in your soul. Every time you return to your breath, you're returning to yourself. You're reminding your body that you're not lost in the storm. You are the stillness beneath it. In ancient Zen monasteries, monks begin each day with silence and breath. Not because they have nothing to do, but because they know that how to do it matters more than what they do. One monk once said, "I don't breathe to survive, I breathe to arrive." That's the difference between living and truly being alive. Stillness doesn't mean your life stops moving. It means you start moving differently, slower, softer, with awareness. You begin to realize that patience isn't waiting for life to calm down. It's finding calm within the waiting. So next time your mind races ahead, when you want answers, results, clarity, pause. Take one breath, then another. And let that breath remind you, this moment is already enough. Because once the body learns stillness, the heart must learn something even deeper. Surrender. That's where true patience begins. Not in control, but in trust. Not in holding on, but in letting go. And that's what we'll explore next. How surrender transforms waiting into wisdom and time into healing. 2. The medicine of stillness, breathing through the wait. When was the last time you truly breathed? Not the shallow, automatic kind of breathing that just keeps you alive, but the deep, conscious kind that makes you feel alive. We live in a world that rewards speed but forgets to honor stillness. We think patience means waiting around, doing nothing. But in Zen, patience isn't passive. It's the most active form of awareness there is. Stillness isn't doing nothing. It's doing everything with presence. Every slow breath you take is a rebellion against the chaos of the world. Every pause between inhale and exhale is an act of courage, a whisper to your nervous system that says, "You're safe now. You don't have to fight time anymore." Because when you breathe consciously, you teach your body that the present moment isn't dangerous. You teach your heart that it's okay to rest inside the now. And little by little, every breath that slows down becomes a small victory over chaos. You see, impatience is like holding your breath for a future that hasn't arrived yet. It's a suffocating belief that peace will come after something happens, after the job, after the relationship, after the pain ends. But the truth is, your breath doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It's already happening now, quietly, faithfully, offering you peace with every inhale. What if patience wasn't something you needed to build, but something you could breathe into existence? Try this. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose. Feel it fill your chest like light. Hold it gently, not with tension, but with awareness. Then release it slowly through your mouth, like you're letting go of something heavy. Do it again, but this time imagine you're exhaling a lifetime of rushing, pushing, striving. Can you feel that subtle shift, that tiny silence between the breaths? That's not emptiness. That's your healing. Because the body doesn't respond to words, it responds to rhythm. And when you breathe with intention, your body starts to believe in safety again. Your shoulders drop, your heart slows, your mind softens. That's not a coincidence. That's biology aligning with peace. The breath is the bridge between your anxiety and your peace, between the chaos in your thoughts and the calm in your soul. Every time you return to your breath, you're returning to yourself. You're reminding your body that you're not lost in the storm. You are the stillness beneath it. In ancient Zen monasteries, monks begin each day with silence and breath. Not because they have nothing to do, but because they know that how to do it matters more than what they do. One monk once said, "I don't breathe to survive, I breathe to arrive." That's the difference between living and truly being alive. Stillness doesn't mean your life stops moving. It means you start moving differently, slower, softer, with awareness. You begin to realize that patience isn't waiting for life to calm down. It's finding calm within the waiting. So next time your mind races ahead, when you want answers, results, clarity, pause. Take one breath, then another. And let that breath remind you, this moment is already enough. Because once the body learns stillness, the heart must learn something even deeper. surrender. That's where true patience begins. Not in control, but in trust. Not in holding on, but in letting go. And that's what we'll explore next. How surrender transforms waiting into wisdom and time into healing. 3. The art of surrender, trusting the unseen timing. Let's be honest. The hardest part of patience isn't the waiting itself. It's not knowing when things will change. That silence, that uncertainty, that space where nothing seems to move, it drives the modern mind insane. Because deep down, what we crave most isn't progress, it's control. We want to know what's coming next, when it will happen, and how it will unfold. And when life doesn't follow our schedule, we panic. We call it delay, disappointment, stagnation. But what if it's not? What if what you call delay is actually divine timing at work, quietly rearranging the universe on your behalf? Patience isn't waiting longer. It's trusting deeper. You see, impatience is born from fear. The fear that if we don't push, force, or hurry, life will forget us. But life doesn't forget. Life aligns. The universe never delays. It aligns. It withholds not to punish, but to prepare. It slows you down, not to break you, but to synchronize you with something greater than your plans. Think of the seasons. Winter doesn't rush spring. The trees don't beg to bloom faster. They trust the unseen timing, the quiet work happening beneath the soil. And yet when spring comes, everything that looked dead comes back to life. What if your delay is not punishment, but protection? What if what you're calling waiting is actually the universe whispering, "Not yet. I'm still rearranging things for your good"? Every time you force what's not ready, you plant seeds in frozen ground. But when you trust timing, you give your destiny space to root. Maybe that's why your plans didn't unfold the way you expected. Maybe the job that didn't work out, the relationship that ended, the silence that stretched too long, were not rejections, but redirections. Because sometimes the things we call loss are actually the universe saying, "You were meant for something lighter." Here's the truth that breaks the ego, but heals the heart. Surrender isn't weakness. It's the highest form of wisdom. It's standing in the middle of the storm and saying, "Even here, I trust that something sacred is unfolding." When you surrender, you stop chasing clarity, and clarity begins to chase you. When you stop controlling, peace finds you in places you never looked. Because surrender doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop carrying what was never yours to control. Take a breath right now. Think of one thing you've been forcing, one outcome you've been desperately trying to fix. Now imagine placing it gently in the hands of something larger than yourself. Say silently, "If it's meant for me, it will stay. If it's not, may it leave with grace." And feel the weight begin to lift. You don't need to see the whole path. You only need to trust the next step. Because what's meant for you will never miss you. Not because you chase it harder, but because you align with it deeper. So yes, surrender requires courage. The courage to believe that what's unseen is not uncertain. That timing is not the enemy. That life is not behind schedule. But even when you trust, there's still one test left: the waiting. That long, quiet period when nothing seems to change, when you wonder if your faith even matters. And yet, it's in that silence that your emotional strength is forged. That's what we'll explore next. How to hold steady in the space between what you hope for and what has yet to arrive. Because patience is not proven in the knowing, it's proven in the waiting. Let's keep going. 4. Emotional strength, holding space for the unknown. There's a certain ache that comes with waiting, not for buses or emails or test results, but for clarity, for the moment when everything finally makes sense. You've done the work, you've surrendered, you've trusted, and yet nothing seems to move. It's in this quiet space, the space between effort and outcome, that most people give up. Because silence is terrifying when you've built your identity around progress. But here's the paradox. It's not the waiting that breaks you. It's how you wait that determines whether you suffer or strengthen. Peace doesn't come from getting what you want. It comes from trusting while you wait. When you can sit inside uncertainty without reaching for control, distraction, or validation, something sacred happens. The mind that once screamed for answers begins to quiet. The storm doesn't end, but your relationship with it changes. You stop asking, "When will this be over?" and start whispering, "What is this teaching me?" That shift is everything, because waiting with awareness rewires your brain for calm. Every moment you resist the urge to react, you strengthen the neural pathways of resilience. Every pause becomes a meditation. Every breath, a small act of faith. The mind grows strong not by controlling time, but by resting inside it. Modern psychology now echoes what Zen masters have taught for centuries. Your nervous system learns safety through stillness. When you allow yourself to stay with discomfort, to breathe through it instead of running from it, your brain stops associating uncertainty with danger. You become emotionally fluent, able to feel deeply without drowning, able to hold chaos without breaking. Think about how much energy you've lost fighting what you can't control. The endless what-ifs, the overthinking, the racing heart at midnight. Now imagine channeling that same energy into stillness, not giving up, but standing still with strength. That's emotional maturity, not the absence of pain, but the presence of peace in the middle of it. And yes, waiting still hurts. There will be days when you want to scream into the sky, "Why not yet?" Days when faith feels foolish and hope feels heavy. But those are the days that carve depth into your soul. Those are the days that stretch your capacity to love, to understand, to endure. Because every moment you choose patience over panic, you are teaching your heart endurance. You are proving to yourself that peace isn't fragile, it's forged. One of my teachers once said, "Don't mistake stillness for weakness. A tree that bends in the wind does not break, it survives." That's what patience gives you, the grace to bend. So the next time you find yourself lost in uncertainty, remember this: the pause is not punishment, it's preparation. It's the universe stretching your spirit to fit the life that's coming next. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a breath. Feel the unknown around you. Vast, silent, alive. Let it be there without needing to understand it. That's what holding space means. Not fixing, not forcing, just allowing. And slowly you'll feel it. That quiet strength rising from within. The kind that doesn't come from answers, but from presence. Because patience isn't only emotional, it's spiritual. It's the bridge between your will and the will of the universe. And that's where we go next. Where faith stops being an idea and becomes a vibration that your entire being starts to live by. Let's keep going. 5. Spiritual patience, aligning with the universe's pace. Everything in nature moves in perfect timing. The sun never rushes its rise. The moon never forces its glow. The ocean doesn't demand that the tide come faster. And yet, somehow, everything happens exactly when it should. The flower doesn't bloom out of ambition, it blooms out of alignment. It doesn't rush to impress spring. It listens to the rhythm of the earth and simply follows. So why do we, the only beings capable of reflection, keep trying to run ahead of life itself? The truth is, we live out of sync. We speed through our mornings, hurry through our meals, and measure our worth by how fast we can fix what hurts. We are the only creatures that distrust time, the only ones who believe peace can be earned by rushing toward it. But the universe is never late. You're just early. When you slow down enough to listen, life starts speaking again. The wind starts to sound like wisdom. The silence between your thoughts becomes music. Even the pauses in your pain begin to hum with meaning, because the universe doesn't communicate in words. It speaks in rhythm, and the language of that rhythm is patience. When you stop fighting the pace of life, you start moving with it, and suddenly everything you used to chase begins to flow toward you naturally. You stop forcing doors to open because you realize the ones meant for you never truly close. You stop begging for signs because presence itself becomes a sign. Have you noticed how chaos disappears when you walk slowly through a quiet morning? How does your breath deepen when you watch the sunset without a goal? That's alignment, the sacred synchronization between your nervous system and the universe's pulse. When you rush, you fall out of tune. But when you wait with grace, you start to hear the music again, the quiet hum of a world that has never stopped taking care of you. Spiritual patience isn't about waiting for the universe to act. It's about realizing the universe already is. It's the tree growing silently beneath your window, the heart that beats without your command, the healing that happens while you sleep. It's the gentle unfolding of existence that continues, even when you've lost faith. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is stop interfering. Let the river move without you splashing. Let the seed rest in darkness before it becomes light. Let the process unfold without labeling it as progress or failure. Because life is not happening to you, it's happening through you. And when you rush it, you interrupt the sacred rhythm of becoming. Patience reconnects you to that rhythm. It softens your edges. It teaches you that not everything sacred is loud, and not every delay is a loss. It reminds you that your soul doesn't need more speed. It needs more silence. The monks call this moving at the speed of trust. It's not slow, it's natural. It's the pace where miracles begin to notice you again. So take a moment. Look at where you are. Everything that's meant for you is already in motion, just at a divine pace, not a human one. And when you finally align with that rhythm, something beautiful happens. You stop chasing your life and start living it. You stop searching for peace and start being peace. You come home to yourself, and that's where we'll go next. The final return to the quiet truth behind it all. You were never broken. You were simply out of rhythm. Now it's time to come home. There comes a moment, quiet, sacred, when you realize that all the waiting, all the silence, all the unanswered prayers were never a delay. They were preparing. A patient's mind is not weak. It's wise, because it has learned the difference between force and flow, between control and trust. It knows that peace doesn't arrive when life becomes easy. It arrives when you stop fighting time. You don't need more time. You need more trust in time. When you stop rushing, the heart begins to breathe again. When you stop forcing answers, truth begins to rise on its own. And when you stop demanding change, you realize you were changing all along. Waiting is not wasted time, a sacred space for transformation. The caterpillar doesn't curse the cocoon, it surrenders to it, because somewhere in that stillness, its wings are forming. So maybe this season of your life isn't punishment. Maybe it's protection. Maybe it's the universe whispering, stay still a little longer. You're becoming someone new. Patience isn't about doing nothing. It's about being everything you already are. Present, trusting, alive. Take one deep breath. Whisper, I trust the timing of my life. Feel that peace move through you, not as hope, but as homecoming. If this message spoke to your heart, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who's forgotten how to wait with love. Because patience doesn't delay your healing. It is the healing. You are not behind. You are right on time.